Hello, kiddies. This is your old pal Sarah here with from Boys and Ghouls Film Review. And this is my co-host, Mike.
Hi, guys. You trying to be John Cassira again, are you?
Well, seeing as it's Halloween, I thought we might make it up to our audience.
The Crypt Keeper rules.
It's been a while since I did a bit of a John Cassir. So
we love John Cassir. He's a wonderful man.
We're getting close to Halloween, and I thought we might do this proper by talking about our favourite Halloween movie called Halloween that was done in 1978.
Now, one of the reasons why we like the movie is probably the same reason everybody else loves the movie.
Yeah, not to mention the latest Halloween is coming out now. That's called Halloween Kills. And
she talk underwater.
And I thought I might do this as a bit of to commemorate the fact that it's been released this month.
Right. What I was going to say before I was really interrupted is that we like it probably for the same reason everybody else likes it. Mm-hmm. At the time it came out, it was fresh, innovative, simple. And actually I've noticed something. I was reading some notes up, and it's true. How much violence do you actually see, and how much blood do you actually see?
True.
There's a lot of POV stuff, but you don't actually see too much actually going on, which is really good. It lets your mind fill in the blanks.
I certainly like the POVs at the beginning of this movie, where you don't know who it is until way much later after it, you find out it's a little kid doing the kills.
If you had a lot of character development, they'd build a story up behind Michael Myers, but you didn't need it.
No, we just...
Not for this movie. In some movies, yes. In this movie, we know, hey, he's a little kid, went troppo, killed his sister, mum and dad, whatever. Yeah. Went crazy.
Yeah. And that's...
Oh, no, did he kill his
He didn't kill his mum and dad.
But, yeah, they dumped the house and left, whatever, I don't know. But, yeah, he killed his sister, went in another house for 15 years, came out, and something's gone wrong inside his kid's head.
Yeah, interesting thing, guys. There is several, franchises that came out of this one. You know, like the first one with number 2, and then after number 2, we get a season of the witch, which has no connection to this one.
It's like a side story, or not a totally different story.
Originally, John Carpenter, he wanted to make this an anthology movie franchise,
it didn't quite work out that way.
Everyone was so keen about Michael Myers that they wanted more and more of him to come back.
And Michael Myers goes to Bali for a holiday, and what?
Something like that. But everyone wanted that, so I guess John Carpenter or the studios kept pumping him out for you guys to view.
I understand that the production companies need to make money. If they find something which is really, really good and makes money, that's fine. But if you're going to get a franchise happening, such as Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, there should be, to me, some sort of continuity flow between Episode 1, Episode 2, Episode 3, Episode 4, Episode 5, whatever. Like the Saw movies. Yeah, they were all related, weren't they?
Interesting thing is that they did do a separate, franchises connected to the first movie and try to go for different directions. Like, of course, in the first few ones, we keep continuing to believe that Michael is related to Laura Strode's character.
Yeah, we thought, but it wasn't. No.
But in this, the 2019 one, they went for a different general direction by saying that Michael was just chasing her and anyone that was connected to her.
Yeah. Anyway.
And Michael just told me an interesting storyline behind the first movie, regarding why Michael targeted babysitters in the first movie.
Yeah, I always thought he was targeting teenage girls because they represented his sister, who he hated. It wasn't so. His sister was his babysitter. So he had to think about babysitters. young girl babysitters who were more interested in getting their jollies with their boyfriend than actually doing their job properly. And his sister was having it off with her boyfriend when she's supposed to be babysitting him. He came home. When he came home, was he out?
I guess he went trick-or-treating.
And he came into the house. He went out trick-or-treating by himself.
Or maybe he wanted to go trick-or-treating, but his sister was
she was
stowed
with her boyfriend. That's
with
what
her
I'm saying.
boyfriend.
So she didn't babysit him. He was left to do his own thing so she could have sex with her boyfriend. And the girls in the movie were more interested in humping
Getting the rocks off with their boyfriend.
Off the boyfriends and whatever than babysitting the kiddies, apart from our lead girl, which is played by Jamie Lee Curtis. So, yeah. He hated babysitting teenage girls because he thought, well, obviously, he saw them as nasty, selfish, evil, and in his head, he had a reason to kill them.
Yeah, and another interesting version of Halloween, I should mention, that Mike is not too thrilled about, to be honest. Well, he's not thrilled about the director, I might add, because he has different sets of opinions about him. He doesn't like Rob Zombie's version very much.
Say Rob I don't Zombie like much. It. If I said to you, if I hadn't seen the original Halloween movies and I saw the Rob Zombie movies, the remakes, whatever, I would probably like them a lot better.
Yeah,
just that, when you bring more violence, sex, and other things, it doesn't add to the movie.
Yeah, interesting thing about Rob Zombie, he makes his characters look very believable. Like, I know in his characters, he makes out that they're not all clean cut characters. In his one,
bottom dwellers and stuff.
They're like, you know, they're very believable. Like, you meet these characters in your own neighbourhood, if you will.
If you live in a bad neighbourhood. Anyway, but point is, I don't mind Rob Zombie movies. What the House of 1,000 Corpses? Is that what it was?
That was one of his. That was one of his first ones after his singing, his band career.
Well,
he's probably still doing his band.
Rob Zombie was in White Zombie, and I don't know if the band actually stopped. He may still do.
Yeah, he may still do the music here and there with his beloved wife. Before 1,000 Corpses, they were dating, and then I guess a few years later, she went on to become his wife, and
she became Mrs. Zombie.
And she's
been a little zombie kitty.
And she became a sort of star, which I keep wondering to myself, when they're doing the new Munster movie he's pumping out eventually.
Oh, he's doing a Munster movie, is he? Oh,
yeah.
That'd be interesting, isn't it?
One fan was talking about it online on social media, said he's worried that Rob Zombie is going to cast his wife as Lily Monster or Marilyn Monster.
Well, it can't be. Marilyn's supposed to be a teenager. Mrs. Zombie ain't no teenager no more.
Well, again, this is a reboot. This might be a reboot or a remake. I don't know.
No, I don't. Marilyn's supposed to be a teenage girl going to high school.
True.
Mrs. Zombie, in no way, no stretch of imagination, could be a teenage girl going to high school.
What about Lily Monster?
She can play Lily. She can play the mum. Yes,
let's
she can certainly do that.
Anyway, let's get back to this movie. Sorry, guys.
Right.
So it's directed by John Carpenter.
Well, it's not doing my bit.
Yeah, well, John Carpenter has been an awesome influence. I've read lots of
She's read a book about it. His bio, was it?
Yeah, an interesting bio that's I've been really gushing over, really enjoying.
Now, wait a minute.
And he's not only the director; he also written this part of the script for this, and he written some of the music scores.
Plunking on a piano, so he did that.
Yeah.
I was going to talk about it a bit later on. You're sort of taking my stuff away from me.
Sorry.
What am I going to talk about? Commercials? Now, again, okay, Halloween was a 1978 slasher movie. One of its first, I believe, and it set the genre for all the other guys, I think. Now, it was produced by Deborah Hill, who I believe was in a relationship with John Carpenter, I think. I have to get my facts, check my facts. But John and Deborah co-wrote the script. Another guy came up with the idea, and they approached John to direct it. He said, only if I could take full control, and he actually wrote the script for it.
That's
where
good.
The other guy probably had a synopsis.
Yeah. Interesting thing, guys. The story is based on an experience John Carpenter had in college touring a psychiatrical ward, and John meets a child who stared at him with
The
a
blank
look
It's
of
like the
evil, and it terrified
blank.
John.
The blank evil look that little 12-year-old Michael had at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
Yep.
if you watch the director's cut, or maybe not the director's cut, you may see a scene where Sam Loomis encountering Michael Myers in the ward, and there you see the serious face Michael portrays on his face.
Anyway, just in part before Sarah starts getting into it too much. Now, the budget. This is a low-budget film. It doesn't come over too low budget. It comes over pretty good. The budget comes in around $325,000. That's probably back in those days. It box officed about $70 million, and that doesn't include the home release merchandise, the VHS tapes back in the day, and DVDs and whatever. So, and it's still readily available through local places like eBay and Amazon and other places such as that. So it was a good money earner. And for a minimal budget,
and for an independent film, I might add.
Yeah, and I'll get into some of the costing stuff later on, but a lot of people worked really, really cheap. They kept the props down to a minimum. So I don't know where the money was actually spent, but it was money well spent.
Right.
How's that?
So who stars in
wait a
it?
minute. Almost there. The inspiration behind this movie was primarily two movies. Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho from 1960, the original one, and Bob Clark's Black Christmas, 1974. And so that inspired Carpenter when he put the script together.
Yeah, see, Black Christmas, when that came out, that was probably the first ever horrors that introduced the slasher thing. Even though it was originally Psycho, no doubt, but it was actually Black Christmas that kind of introduced it a lot more.
Bit better. But I think really Halloween was the granddaddy of and actually started all the other ones, because Black Christmas was a standalone. This became a franchise. They said more. Yeah, and that's what happened. Yeah. As we all know, don't we, folks?
Although to me, the original Black Christmas, there's nothing like it these days. I mean, everyone has been remaking the Black Christmas movie as much as they can, and I always think the first one is always the best to go back to, because it's originally the whole stranger call type story.
Who's that knocking at my chamber door? Yeah. Anyway, I am going to mention the cast. Do not jump here and say, by the way, did you know so and so? I will talk about it after your bit. Okay. Okay, Donald Pleasance, he plays Dr. Sam Loomis. If you mention anything about Sam Loomis, you're in trouble, okay?
I was going to mention that that John Carpenter, he approached both Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee to play Sam Loomis, but they turned him down because of the low payment.
Didn't Christopher Lee regret?
Yes, he kicked himself for not taking part.
Such a good role, but. Aren't you going to mention Sam Loomis out of Psycho?
Yeah, actually, I guess I do not know if it has something to do with Alfred Hitchcock, or the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis is the daughter of Janet Leigh, who plays Marion Crane.
I was going to say that later on. That when they wrote the original, the scripts and everything, storyline and everything, they thought, and did the casting and stuff, they thought about Jamie Lee Curtis in Psycho, and then realised that her daughter, blah, 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 and it goes on from there.
Yeah, an interesting thing, before we continue on, Jamie Lee Curtis this year, when she did this Halloween film premiere, she actually dressed up for Halloween as
Lyra?
As Lila, Marion Crane from Psycho, her mother, as a bit of a tribute to her mum.
Yeah.
Nice gesture on her part.
Moving along, Donald Pleasance, like I said, played Dr. Sam Loomis. Jamie Lee Curtis plays the lead female role, Laurie Strode, final girl material. Nick Castle, he plays Michael Myers, stroke the Shape. Now, he's the guy you see walking around most of the time with the mask on, because there was a guy called Tony Moran,
Yeah, I know
who
both.
plays the unmasked one at the end where they rip his mask off.
Yeah.
And when I think maybe when he's at the beginning where you saw him jumping on top of the car, he didn't have his mask on. That could have been Tony as well, I think. He didn't get paid a lot. He got a couple $100 for the shoot. That was it.
Yeah, I know both Tony and Nick. I've talked to them a couple of times regarding the slasher, movie franchise.
And he's just a little on the side here. This Tony Moran, is, I believe, the brother of the little girl who played in Happy Days.
Ooh.
That's her brother.
Cool.
Aha. In the street. A wonderful person. He's not a big player, but he starts off quite nicely. Will Sandin. He plays Michael Myers, age 6. And as a 6-year-old, whether he's 6 or 7, doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter.
This kid looked really creepy. And now, obviously, they told him stand there and look away, the 1,000-metre stare, blank look on your face. And this kid looked creepy. Now, I don't know how they got the kid to do that.
No, me neither.
No.
Without even... I mean, I don't think you need an actor to do that when you think about that.
It's really hard to get that stare and look. Yeah, and he just had something about him. The kid looked evil. Yeah. Anyway, I think I won't talk about anybody else. I mean, there's just other bits and pieces here.
Well, he was going to wear himself.
Well, he might have. He might have scared himself. Now, do you want us to take on telling the story? Do not focus too much. It's a long tell, this one.
Yeah, so I'll run through it at the beginning really fast. So it takes place when Michael is, say, 6, and he's just wandering around the house in the PVOV shot.
Well, I think he's come in the front door, didn't he?
At first, he goes to the back of the house, and he sees his sister, hanging out with her boyfriend.
Kissing and cuddling and stuff.
And then they go upstairs, and then we see the lights going out. Hint, hint, we don't know.
Yippee.
And then Michael heads into the kitchen, grabs a knife, and watches the boyfriend leave. He goes upstairs, kills his sister in a violent rage. Or not. Well, we don't see his face, so we can't say who.
We don't see what happened, but we saw a knife flashing just like in Psycho and stuff.
And he's wearing his mask, which has these interesting peephole type things.
A little clown mask.
That I like it how the directors do this sort of way of doing this sort of thing.
Yeah, it's really good, yeah.
Where you just cut a few holes into the onto some fabric and just put it onto the camera lens.
Yeah, for a frame in front of the camera, so it looks like you're looking through the mask. It looked really good.
Yeah, clever. Anyway,
clever what?
Then he goes downstairs. You hear his mum and dad come home, and they see Michael there with the knife, and they take the mask off, and we see his face looking like blank.
Shock, horror, blank, unexpressive, but his eyes looked a little bit evil. So I don't know whether that was just him or was touched up or whatever. Yeah.
Anyway, a few years later, how many years?
15 years later.
Okay, 15 years later, Sam Loomis and his nurse are heading towards the nut house in order to transfer Michael Myers to another.
He's due to go to a court hearing to be assessed.
Okay, he's going to a court hearing, and he wants him being sedated, or if that's the word.
Yeah, sedated, yeah.
So that he won't cause any trouble, because Sam Loomis knows Michael's tricks.
Yeah.
And anyway, we then goes to the nut house, and we see the place is a lot of people nuts walking around.
That's not very nice.
Like they're walking around.
Patients were walking around. They should have been locked up in bed in their wards, but they realise that Michael has broken out.
Yeah. Sam does examine the situation while leaving the nurse behind, and then we see that Michael jumps onto the car and then attacks the nurse. Yeah. And she runs out, and Michael jumps into the car and drives away.
Now wait. Now this, I know I get a bit picky. Okay. He was 6 years old when he went in the nut house.
Yes.
He gets out of the nut house, he breaks out, he gets to the car, jumps in the car, and drives off like he's been driving for 10 years. And that's the part that gets me every time I see it. He didn't have access to books or anything because he used to sit down there and just stare at the walls or the ceiling. He wasn't reading, he wasn't watching telly, he wasn't watching anything. And how did he learn to drive a car?
That's a good question. I imagine the audience has been wondering that for years.
Yeah, it could have been an automatic, but still, a 6-year-old kiddie,
And even
Or,
Sam Loomis wonders that too. He wonders how can he learn to drive when he didn't been. But then he then said maybe someone taught him around here.
Taught him. Put your plates on, Michael. Go for a little drive somewhere.
Anyway, he blames the lack of care that was involved at the
they didn't take him seriously. Think he was very dangerous.
Yes, Sam Loomis acts. He is, as I said before, he's the Ahab in this production, and throughout all the other movies.
A lot of people do not know what an Ahab is.
Okay. It is a real term, Mike. It's just another word for.
I know what. It's a real term. I know this.
It's just a real term saying that he's on the hunt for this
He's
dangerous,
Moby Dick. I know
dangerous
this.
killer.
But you're taking for granted that the people listening to our podcast know what an Ahab is.
Well,
okay?
the directors invented it. Okay, so.
He is the guy on the hunt.
Yes. Anyway, we then cross to Laura Stroll, who's just heading out of her home and is told by her dad, who's a real estate owner, real estate man, telling her to drop off the keys to the old Myers house.
Yeah, the old run-down, abandoned house.
Yeah, he's sort of going to show this house to a couple of buyers. I don't know. Anyway, so she drops off the keys. She meets up her charge. She's going to babysit later that night, and she's walking him down and talking about what they're going to be doing for Halloween, for tricks or treats, and a bit of popcorn, a bit of reading before bed.
Watching a scary movie.
Maybe carve a jack-o'-lantern. I hope to carve a jack-o'-lantern probably this weekend.
We're going to go one of those big orange pumpkins. A big one.
Just so you guys know, we in Australia
we don't normally
do this, but I thought maybe it would be good for you guys to watch me carve an actual pumpkin.
And we're not going to do an Elvira with a chainsaw. Elvira's beautiful. I love hers, but yeah, we're going to actually use a carving knife or a boning knife or something to cut there and cut a nice smiley face or whatever into a pumpkin. Yeah,
so moving on, we then find the abandoned car and, Sam Loomis finds the abandoned car and he finds a tow truck that belongs to probably an old garage mate guy. And somehow Michael Myers has removed his his white garment.
The little gowns they give you to wear in hospitals and stuff.
Yeah.
The ones which don't hide too much.
Yeah. So they're gone. He's replaced them with some overalls.
Well, it covers up a bit better, a bit warmer too.
Yeah. And so Sam Loomis knows exactly where he's heading. He's heading towards his hometown, right?
Well, yeah, has Haddonfield. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he begins to stalk Laura Stroll and her Strode.
Well, can't you get the names right occasionally?
Sorry.
Strode.
Anyway, he stalks her, and he stalks her charge. What's the little boy's name?
Freddo Frog, I can't remember his name. The little kid. Yeah.
Thomas or Tommy?
Tommy, Tommy Doyle. There you go.
Tommy Doyle. And he watches Tommy being mistreated by some bullies, telling him about the boogeyman.
The boogeyman's going to get you.
Yeah. Eventually, as Laura meets up with her friends, they make plans on babysitting that night in the same area.
Babysitting, rubbish. They're all going to hump their boyfriends.
Except for Laura. She's a good girl. She's a good girl, and she doesn't have a boyfriend yet. But she has a crush on this other guy named, what's his name? Something,
Freddo Frog. I don't know what his name is. I didn't go out with him.
I don't know. Who cares? Anyway, she then tells them about how a weird man is stalking her in a creepy fashion.
You keep seeing Michael Myers popping out of here and there and standing there and looking.
Yeah.
Why did he pick on her? Maybe so. I know he might have been in the house when she dropped the key off. So he saw her and he's been stalking her. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what it is.
Anyway, eventually, while the girls are going to get ready for the babysit at the same place, they ran into the sheriff, who is one of Laura's friends' dad, and he tells her about how that. And he tells Sam Loomis that someone broke into the hardware store
and stole a few odds. And they think it's kids because they stole some paints and a mask.
Yeah.
A mask.
And a few knives.
and a few
Hint.
knives, obviously. Well, you need that sort of,
Yeah, to carve jack-o'-lanterns.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, but the part that gets me is why pick a William Shatner mask? I'll talk about that later.
Anyway, moving on. So, Michael Myers drives past Sam Loomis while he's looking all about him. Didn't even notice the car drive past him. You would not even miss it. It has a logo on the back saying for, what did it say on the back, on the front, on the side?
It was a government vehicle or some sort of a decal on the side
Yeah,
of the doors.
personnel only, yada yada.
But you have to be turning around and looking at the vehicle to see it.
Yeah, he didn't.
It was in the background. The guy does not have an eye in the back of his head. Okay?
True.
Okay.
So he just gets time out to talk to the sheriff about who's most likely wandering the streets and might be causing some trouble. And he thinks that Michael will come back to his old digs, which he does, but he only briefly to eat a dog.
Yeah, you think about it. It wasn't Michael. It was going to be Freddy Krueger.
No, don't pick on the dog. Yeah, that man. Anyway,
I want Freddy.
Anyway, Laura arrives at Tommy's house and they make preparations to do the usual things, watch a few movies, maybe The Thing, maybe The Forbidden Planet, yada yada.
Hey, actually, they show them in the background on the TV, which is good. I've got all these in my collection. I love them.
Instantly. The Thing, it becomes John Carpenter's next movie after
he
this.
did a remake of The Thing after this, so which is... I wonder if he put that old movie in there.
Maybe it was one of his favourites. I like to think.
I like The Thing, the original, yeah.
Just like Peter Jackson favours King Kong in his youth, when you think about it.
Yeah.
Who knows? These guys were brought up with this
stuff. Sort of stuff. I love it.
Yeah,
all the old crappy movies. Yeah,
it's probably the same with John Carpenter and their guys. They probably grew up with these movies, and that's where they got the idea to make a remake here and there.
Well, there you go. Hey.
Anyway, moving on.
Right on.
Laura gets settled in, and she starts making a jack-o'-lantern with Tommy, doing the stuff, and reading him a few comic books, which Radioactive Man, whatever. Yeah. And the Howard the Duck. Though I read
Howard the Duck getting there.
There was
Radioactive Man, Metal Man, so and so, and Howard the Duck. Okay.
Yeah, there was a Howard the Duck comic among them.
Who's Howard the Duck? I know.
I just looked. Anyway, while her other friend is babysitting a girl next door, and she's gets a call from her boyfriend who wishes her to come and pick him up so he can pick her up.
That is really funny, Most guys in these movies don't have a car. Their girlfriends have to go pick them up.
Yeah.
Why haven't these guys got cars?
Yeah, throughout the scene, Michael is looking outside her house, and Tommy notices him there and thinks he's the boogeyman and all that stuff.
He is the boogeyman.
Of course, throughout this scene, Laura keeps shrugging it off as if nothing.
Because every time she looks, he's not there. You've got overactive imagination.
Yeah, something like
that. And actually, being sexist, he could have been he should have been a boogie person.
True.
Being politically correct.
Okay, fair enough. Anyway, so her friend suggested that she'll go down and pick up her boyfriend, but first she'll drop off the girl her charge at Laura's house.
Laura's where she's babysitting, which is across the road or something. Yeah, across the road.
So she drops her off, and she makes plans on heading off in either her car or her parents'
I think the parents have a spare car there. And honestly, it's supposed to be. This is why Michael Myers doesn't like babysitters. He's supposed to be babysitting. I'll drop the kid across the road. I'm going to bring my boyfriend back to the house, have sex. And he's being paid for it as well. That's not bad.
Yeah, so he eventually, at one point, she couldn't get into a car, and she tries to find the keys. And when she gets back, the door is already open.
And guess who's in the back?
Yeah. He then attacks her, and he kind of kills her. Oh, can't really see how he killed her.
I think he put like a rope or something around her neck.
Yeah, rope around her neck and
piece of wire or whatever. Yeah.
And Tommy sees him move the body and carrying her body into the house.
Body into the house.
Of course, Tommy tries to tell that the boogeyman's out there, but he doesn't explain it really well.
By the time Laurie gets to the window to look out there,
gone.
Go on, get inside.
Yes.
Bugger.
Anyway, the next person on the chopping block is her other friend who came to her other friend's house.
Yeah, where Michael Myers is at the moment.
Yeah.
She had arranged to come there with her boyfriend and use one of the bedrooms while she was using the other bedroom.
Yeah, so they go inside, and
It's nice and quiet.
And they head upstairs, do the you-know-what.
Hunka chunka. Ha ha ha.
And he goes downstairs to probably get a beer or something.
Yeah, after they had sex, he goes downstairs to get a beer.
Yeah.
And
then Michael decides to pin him to a wall.
With a carving knife.
And he looks at him like this.
There's a reason for
Left,
that. I'll tell
right,
you later on. No, I'll tell you. He's told to do that.
Really?
Yeah, he did. That guy playing Michael Myers was not given too much stage direction.
Oh.
It's like walk from that point to that point. X marks a spot to X marks a spot. But he was actually instructed to do that, like contemplating a work of art or a butterfly collection. That looks pretty nice.
Yeah. He then probably takes the guy's glasses and he wears a sheet, like one of those old ghost sheets.
Yeah, put a ghost, yeah.
And he approaches the girl and she thinks, oh, it's just my boyfriend.
He's just playing
fooling
games,
around,
yeah. And then he's just standing there, not
She then tries to
anything.
make a phone call to Laura and he slowly approaches and starts strangling her with the telephone cord.
And Laurie thinks it's a dirty phone call. Yeah.
Yeah. Never working out that maybe her friend's being killed. Eventually, she decides to head over there, trying to figure out what's going down. The two kids are asleep, so she didn't think nothing of it.
Just pop out for a second. Yeah.
Yes. She then eventually gets inside the house, and she goes upstairs, and she finds her first friend, who died first, on a bed with a Judy Myers headstone above.
Oh yeah, early in the movie, Dr. Loomis goes to the cemetery to check out the Michael Myers' sister's grave, and the headstone had been stolen.
Yes.
It showed up in this house. Mm-hmm. Now I don't know how he got it around, but he must have been a very strong guy. It's a big piece of granite or sandstone or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't pick it up.
Yeah. So she also finds both her other friend's body and her that guy and the guy
boyfriend
her boyfriend hanging from whatever.
Yeah. So found 3 dead bodies in there, and lo and behold, she meets Mikey.
Yeah. Eventually, he doesn't stab her properly, and she tumbles down the stairs.
Yes. So he swings out, and she moves back a bit, and so it rips open the shirt sleeve on a blouse or something. Might have scratched her a bit, but didn't do any major damage. And she tumbles downstairs. That would have hurt. And
poor stunt double.
Was that the balcony downstairs?
She fell off the balcony and down the stairs.
Yeah. And she hurt herself a little bit, but could get up and gingerly walk or stagger back to the house across the road. Yeah.
She eventually yells to Tommy and throws a pot plant
up near his window.
Yeah.
Wakey, wakey.
Yeah, and
she dropped the keys when she fell over. Yeah.
Yeah. See, whatever the keys that she has to the house have probably either been dropped out of her pocket when she fell.
She did. Rattling experience.
Yeah. Michael is slowly walking back to the house.
He doesn't run, but he does cover a lot of ground, doesn't he?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I guess while the hero's staggering, meaning she's not exactly walking, but struggling as she walks, and any chance of getting caught would mean instant death.
Yeah, but you look at Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He's not running after anybody. He's got a chainsaw, and he's just walking quickly, and the girls are running from him, and he's still there.
True.
He must have a very, very long legs.
Very. But then again, most of the time his victim, or victims, I should say, are either damaged or they break something, like a limp, and they are limping and they can't really walk that far.
Well.
And considering he's probably speed walking most of the time.
Well, I used to be able to speed walk since I got osteo, but yeah. Well, yeah, but still, if someone's running away, you got to get it. You take a bit of distance.
Anyway,
go on.
Eventually Tommy goes downstairs, unlocks the door, and brings Laura inside. And they then head back upstairs to hide.
And then she tells them about the boogeyman. Aha, you lied.
She tells the two kids to head upstairs and lock themselves into another room while she tries to stop Michael from, all that stuff all the while.
Yeah. And anyway, Michael just sneaks in out through an open window.
Meanwhile, while this is all happening, Sam Loomis, who's been outside of Michael's house.
He sees the car that Michael had been driving.
Yeah, he sees it, and he realizes that it's parked down the street, and he's probably prowling one of the neighborhood's houses.
So Dr. Loomis is looking up and down the street to see if he can see anybody running around, which slightly resembles Michael.
Yeah, he tells the sheriff to to check around the backyards, back of the houses, to be on the safe side in case Michael's around there.
Yeah, because I mean, it wouldn't be very appropriate for an ordinary civilian type person going around the back of people's houses.
Yeah,
but the sheriff can get away with it. Yeah.
Just so you guys know, the place is really decked up in darkness because the crew they didn't have very much special effect lighting they could afford, so they had to use whatever's available to them.
Yeah, I won't have any production notes to talk about.
I know. I'm just telling you guys that while you guys may be worried about, I can't afford the special filmmaking lighting. You can make do with whatever's available.
Well, okay, it's seeing on production stuff. We'll go off track just a minute. Any of you young guys who want to make a movie, okay. I've been looking into cameras at the moment because I want to get one. Mm-hmm. Okay, now I'm looking at a Black Magic pocket cinema camera, whatever, it's K6. Now I can buy it here in Australia for the body for about $3,500 Australian. You can get a cheaper version, the 4K one, and they're quite adequate to do these. And they work reasonably good in low light. So if you had wouldn't say car headlights, but some work lights or whatever, you can get away with some portable lighting. You don't need your main thing is going to get a decent camera. You should be able to hire one, reasonably cheaply.
Yeah, so the lighting actually works well for this movie.
Want dark. You want darkness. You don't want everything in bright daylight anyway. Otherwise, it takes away from it.
Yeah, exactly. So it kind of works. Thank you very much, John Carpenter.
Yeah, Johnny did a good job. Hey, Johnny.
Yeah. Hey. So Michael gets pinned down by Laura by using a knitting needle, whatever.
Yeah, he said a number 8 needle straight into his jugular or something. Well, missed it by that much. Yeah.
Yeah. And she heads upstairs, tells the kids everything's all right, but
I've killed the boogeyman.
But he suddenly reappears, and she hides into a closet, and she uses a coat hook or hanger.
A coat hanger. She straightened out and poked him in the eye with it.
Of course, and then she picks up his weapon, his knife.
His carving knife, just like Norman Bates' carving knife.
And then she stabs him into the shoulder a little bit.
Or chest, shoulder, whatever, yeah. And he falls down on the ground.
Eventually, she calls the 2 kids out of the closet and stuff,
the boogeyman is now dead,
and tells them to head to the nearest neighbors and tell them what they witnessed.
And they run out the front door and they meet Dr. Loomis.
Well, they don't meet him.
Dr. Loomis sees them coming
hears
up.
them screaming,
and
right. He knows deep down that Michael's in there. So he heads inside and. Of course, Michael slowly rises in a creepy zombie way.
Yeah, Night of the Living Dead sort of stuff.
And he then tries to advance on Laura Strode and do Strode to do the his big bad. And while he's doing this, we then see his face finally in this.
He rips a mask off somehow.
Yeah,
and then we see what's his name, Moran guy.
Tony Moran's face for the first time in this.
Yeah, Tony Moran. Well, we saw a bit of it on the top of the car, but we got a better look at him.
Yeah. Throughout this production, of course, as you know, Nick Castle did all the shape.
Yeah, all the walking around stuff in the full mask and everything, but he did a bit role.
Yeah. He's still doing that sort of thing in some of the.
I think that he's into producing and directing now. I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Anyway, moving on. So eventually, Sam Loomis appears and he shoots him
in the chest.
Like 8 or 7 times.
If it was a 6-shooter, I don't think you get 8 bullets out of it.
Okay, 6 or 7, 8 times.
6.
Yeah.
It was a revolver. Yeah. 6 bullets.
Yeah. And he falls off the balcony and hits his head.
Well, he lands on the grass. I don't know, hit his head, but he looked.
And Laura asks Sam Loomis, "Is the boogeyman dead?" And of course, he says he is. And then he looks out the balcony again, and we see him gone.
Not there.
And then we get quick shots of the previous locations.
Yeah, they do a montage or something, rather different locations where
and we hear
his heinous crimes.
Yeah, and we hear Michael's breathing throughout the scene.
that
playing,
sort of, that sort of stuff. Yeah,
playing,
like an obscene phone call almost. Yeah.
and we cut out.
Fade to black. No.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I do like this movie a lot. I mean, it does bring it brings you a lot of tension. And I read somewhere when they were doing the screen test, where you get all the footage together and you view it with the producers. One of the producers said how lousy these scenes were
Without music.
and eventually when they add the music, it added a bit of a feeling to it.
And that's where Atmos music. It comes into its own, has it? Mm.
Yeah, so they were kind of incorrect when they didn't realize that the movie ran rather slow, especially the long stuff.
See, the whole point, if you have Atmos music, you don't need dialogue saying, "It's time for you to get scared now." Okay, the music does it.
Yeah. Actually, I read somewhere that when I was looking up some fun facts for this podcast, John Carpenter, he had to walk Jamie Lee Curtis to make, to get her to be frightened, a little scared, or
No. They had a fear meter.
Yeah, a fear meter.
And what that was actually, how intense are you going to be scared in this scene? Because they didn't do them in order. They did a bit here, a bit there, whatever, and then put them together. They said, okay, we want a 7.
Yeah.
We want a 3. We want an over-the-top screaming your tits off on this one, yeah. And it was all programmed. So he said, I want to do a level 7 or a level 9 or a level 3, scream, scare, shock, horror, that sort of stuff. And it worked.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. I mean, I thought it was interesting that by the time she started babysitting, she didn't feel scared. She just felt like she didn't believe there was anything outside.
Direct boogeyman. Now she's not so sure. Mm-hmm. Now, okay, right. A bit of production note stuff here. Can I do a bit of talking now? You can jump in occasionally. Yeah. Okay, after viewing Carpenter's film Assault on Precinct 13, which is a 1976 movie, an independent film producer, Irwin Yablans, and his financier, Mustafa Akkad, sought out Carpenter to do this movie.
That's nice of him.
Now, I don't know if they actually had a script or a synopsis at that point in time. They said it's about a psychotic killer who stalked babysitters. That was it. So, and what they did, they passed that. Carpenter took it on as long as he can take full control of it.
Good.
And along with Debbie, they wrote the script for Halloween, based on the synopsis that the other two guys gave them. And interesting.
Yeah. If I ever do get involved in any production company, guys, I'm going to make sure I lay it down flat to them that I want control of this production.
Well, you'd be the director, so yes, you could have, but these people, he came up with the idea, they wanted John Carpenter to direct it. He says, okay, subject to my rules. And he did it for straight fee, $10,000, I think, plus 10% of the profits, or something or other, or net profit or something, or ticket sales or something. So he made some good money out of it.
Right.
But he waived all the other fees. But John Carpenter, he did the directing, the music. What else did he do?
Script writing.
Script writing, yeah. He did all that, and for $10,000, and they were a couple of months shoot. Yeah. So hey, I think it was a couple of months shoot. But
interesting thing when he did think the scores for the music, he actually took him 4 days.
Yeah, he did. It took about 10 days to write the script too.
I thought that's kind of clever. It reminds me of a little bit of what I went through with my production, with my latest composer who worked on a bit of music, and she finished it under a week.
Yeah, while doing other jobs.
Jobs.
It's really good. Now, here, Screenplay. It took approximately 10 days to write the screenplay. Now, I believe that Debbie wrote the lines for the babysitters because she was a female and possibly did some babysitting when she was younger.
I wonder if she really said totally.
I don't know.
Because one of the characters always kept saying totally. Yeah. She said several times.
I don't know. She might have. Maybe she knew somebody who used to say it, so she put it in. Whereas John Carpenter, he wrote more of the other dialogue. the man type dialogue.
You mean like the one with the boyfriend?
Lowell Loomis and stuff and that sort of stuff. Yeah, the boyfriend. Yeah, but the male roles. But Debbie did the female roles. So he did the male roles.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah,
Considering he went to a psychiatrical ward and he said,
and he'd been it. Yeah, so he knew it, and yeah, he had an idea. And I think he's actually studied psychology in university or whatever.
Well,
so he would have known a few psychologists and psychiatrists, and he might have copied the
terms
and whatever into the script.
I guess
and
it's
whatever.
handy if you're going to put a scientist or a psychiatrist into your story, and you need to put the right terminology in the production.
Yeah. Now, here's something I didn't know about. When they were writing the script and getting the storyline together, the inspiration came from a Celtic tradition of Halloween and something called Samhain. And
that one.
Samhain is, I gather, in it's evil can't be killed.
Oh, that makes sense.
And I think that's where it actually came out. The idea you can't kill evil, it's there. And so whether Michael Myers was ultimately possessed or something, but you can't kill him. It's just like Jason Voorhees, just keeps coming back.
Yeah, I think that's the interesting thing. I think that's where the idea came from, and they tried to integrate it into the franchise here. Like in the, let me see, which one was it? Let me see, not the third, in the sixth Halloween movie, I think it was. I'm not sure. In that one, it talked about a bit of a pagan witchcraft stuff in that one, where it indicates that Michael wasn't just born evil or more became evil, but it was more to do with a sort of
maybe possessed by a demon,
possessed by evil.
Yeah, possibly. See, you never know. It's a grey area.
It's the same with that season of the witch thing that they tried to implicate in the third movie, which didn't run so well, and it kind of fell flat on its poor butt.
Now, here's something. Homage was paid in this movie to Alfred Hitchcock. With two characters' names, Tommy Doyle is named after Lieutenant Thomas Doyle in Rear Window in 1954 Alfred Hitchcock movie.
Oh, cool.
And Dr. Loomis, obviously named after Sam Loomis in Psycho. We know that one.
I think we figured that out.
Yeah.
That's where I keep thinking that did the directors knew that Jamie Lee Curtis could be related to Janet
They
Lee
did. I was going to roll on to that.
Because I read somewhere while I was reading this that Johnny Carpenter was thinking of John Carpenter was going to cast the girl from Carrie to play, I guess, Jamie Lee Curtis's role. Maybe, I'm not sure, but because she's an innocent-looking woman.
But when he realised Jamie Lee Curtis's daughter Jamie Lee Curtis was the daughter of Janet Leigh. But he hadn't seen her act. Jamie Lee had been in a TV program, but John Carpenter doesn't watch television, so he didn't see her acting ability.
Oh, that's a shame.
Didn't know who she was. But he took her on, and she became a new Scream Queen, didn't she?
Yeah. My mum would be proud.
Whatever. What else, guys? Got inspiration for his visit to the Nut House, like you said before. You took some of my notes I can't use now. The ending scene of Michael being shot 6 times and disappearing after falling off the balcony was meant to terrify the imagination of the audience.
Wow, I love it.
It did actually. Oh, wow, yeah. And then more, that sort of, his body disappeared.
Yeah.
Aha. So,
if they were
up for the sequel.
Yeah, if they were going to do an anthology type franchise thing, I would have just left to tickle the audience a little bit. They should have just left it as it was to leave it up to the audience what became of him. And if they were so anxious to make an anthology type franchise, they could have done it that way and left it up to fate to what became of him.
Yeah. Here's something. John Carpenter described Halloween as true crass exploitation. I decided to make a film I would love to have seen as a kid. He wasn't a kid, obviously. He wasn't a teenager. Full of cheap tricks, like a haunted house at the fair where you walk down a corridor and things jump out at you. So I think with Michael Myers popping out of the shadows and doing different things, he got that. I think he captured that quite nicely.
You should go to those mazes in
Yeah, well, they probably have those in
Fright
America.
Night.
We got the thing over here down at the local movie world. We do Fright Night, and they have these haunted house maze things you go into, and people are jumping out from behind panels, and other panels of pictures are opening up, and they scaring the crap out of you. Yeah, that's great fun. Yeah, and that's what I think that's what he's talking about when he's that sort of feeling. Yeah. Now, casting, we mentioned Donald Pleasance and a few things, and Jamie Lee Curtis. They could not, because of the low budget, they couldn't get any really big names. So they're looking for people that they knew, people that the people who were going to see the pictures knew. That's why
I gotta admit, I think Donald Pleasant was a better choice for Mr. Dr. Sam Loomis, whatever.
Well, probably. But like I said, that's why I was trying to get in Peter Cushing or Christopher Lee in there, because people knew them. But everyone knew Donald Pleasance as well. He was like the third choice, sort of, which is a shame because I like Donald Pleasance. He's been in quite a few good movies. And Jamie Lee Curtis, a bit of an unknown, even though she's doing a bit of TV work.
Yeah, I think this could have been her first. Was this her first major film?
I don't know.
I know she did Prom Night. Probably the same. At the same time, similar time.
Okay, fine. Can I go on?
I'm just saying.
Donald Pleasance was paid the highest amount at that time, $20,000 for the role. Jamie Lee Curtis got $8,000. Nick Castle got $25 a day. I was trying to figure out how much that'd be worth today, which is $150 or something or other. Yeah, it wasn't a lot. So, and he would have been in a lot of the scenes there, and everybody else got bits and pieces and stuff. But when you think about it, how many people were actually in it?
Good point.
You had the three girls, Jamie Lee Curtis and the two friends.
And the
little
boyfriend.
The little boy and little girl. The boyfriend got a bit part, nothing special. Loomis, Dr. Loomis, the girls, the sheriff. They're the main actors. Oh yeah, and obviously the shape, and that was it. You had about 6 people, 6-7 people, in a tight budget, in using real homes. I gather.
So they really used the real neighbourhood.
Well, I was going to roll on to that now. No. Where am I? I got little things here. Yes, I'm all over the place. I had something here. Where is it? Yeah, I believe. Okay, well, here it is. The budget was so low, most people used their own clothes.
Oh, I see. So, Jamie Lee Curtis used her own wardrobe?
Well, they gave her a bit of a budget to buy a few extra clothes, but pretty much she used her own clothes and got a few extra things thrown at her.
I see.
Everybody helped, all the cast and crew helped moving the gear around like we did on your production. So, the cast and crew were interchangeable to a certain degree.
Well, that's good. I mean, I like the idea that both actor and crew were equals.
The actors helped move the gear around, move lighting around and whatever when they weren't in scene. They all helped out. Much of the film was done using a Steadicam, which we discussed. Well, we didn't discuss earlier on here, but we were discussing yesterday about they using Steadicams, or was it Pana?
A Pana.
Pana, whatever.
Yeah.
Panacam or something rather, which is a brand of Steadicam. Yeah. You move around and it's got a nice flow to it. It doesn't get all jerky and stuff like some of the earlier movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, filming locations included South Pasadena, California, Garfield Elementary School. The cemetery is a real cemetery. It wasn't made up. The abandoned house owned by the church stood as the Myers house. That was a real abandoned house. Then they did the filming in the house. The 2 homes on Orange Grove Avenue near Sunset Boulevard in Spalding Square neighbourhood were used for the film's climax. So they're using real homes. Yeah.
So they didn't make them up or...
There's no mention of any studios here whatsoever in my notes, so everything was done on location.
That makes sense.
So location, I think location suits work better. You get more of a feel, natural feel.
Yeah, exactly so.
What else? Oh, yeah, this is the part I like. Carpenter's direction for Castle in this movie was minimal. For example, when Castle asked Myers what Michael Myers' motivation was for a particular scene, Carpenter replied that his motivation was to walk from one set market to the other and not act. Just walk. That's it. What's his motivation for this scene? Is he horny? Is he hungry? Does he want to kill somebody? No, they just walk across the room and I'll capture you.
Yeah.
And that was it. Now,
Yeah, I've been wondering, how do you capture a cool, calm
that's
walk?
it. He just wants to catch him just walking across a room or walking across the
'cause
grass. Or
as you pointed out to me, Mike, he's not running. He's actually
he's
walking
doing
in
a menacing walk, I suppose. He's a creepy guy. He's walking across there. He looks like he's up to something. But here's another bit. The only direction Castle gave to Castle during the murder sequence of Bob, what's his the girl's boyfriend, he told Castle to tilt his head and examine the corpse as if it were a butterfly collection. That's why he tilts his head. Look, it's very nice up there. Interesting.
Yeah, well, good interaction.
Now, I won't go on too much.
Let's discuss his mask. I'm curious about that.
Well, I will talk about it in a moment.
I mean, I think everyone out there wants to know why a William Shatner mask.
Well,
why not?
It wasn't a William Shatner mask per se, but they said, we must get a William Shatner mask. They said we need the mask. They went in the shop, they found a mask, they wanted a blank mask, which had not much expression on it, and that one looked the part. So what they they got the mask, William Shatner face, cut the eye holes bigger, obviously, so you can see out of them. And they might actually use that in front of the camera, I don't know, but whatever. And they actually painted a light bluey colour instead of white. Because I think white might have reflected light too much. That could have been another thing too. And they used to use it. And it cost I remember the skinny budget. It cost about $1.98 or something rather for the mask. That's how cheap can you get now?
I seem to remember when they were. The original mask was kept under either the director or the person's bed, and it kind of got moffied and for years later, and they had to replace it, say, 3 or 4 times because the mask was starting to get moffied and decay. Well, not decay, just
But here we go.
It was just it didn't last long.
Those things they're only made out of a bit of foam or something or other, a bit of plastic, polystyrene or whatever. Yeah. Now we talked about a few things. The Carpenter created a fear meter because the film was shot out of sequence, and they were not sure. And Jamie Lee Curtis wasn't quite sure what level of fear she had to do for each scene. So he said, this one's going to be about a 7. This one's going to be about a 6. And tonight we're going to do something like a 9.5.
I would like to find out more about that fear meter in case.
Well, she was told, I mean, like a good actor, you program a fear or a response into your head. I want a 6, or I want a 9, 9.5, 10. That's ultimate screaming your tits off, rolling around, screaming, horrible, writhing in pain, and yelling your tits off. And that sort of stuff. You say, and a slight jump scare might be a 3. That's all. Now, the film score, I like this. The film score consists of a piano melody composed and performed by director John Carpenter, with Carpenter admitting that the music was inspired by both Dario Argento's Suspiria, which is a great movie in itself, which also influenced the film's slightly surreal colour scheme. And I like that European sort of colour scheme in
Reds,
movies.
blues, they're wonderful.
And the filters, it took 3 days to compose the music for the film. And here's a funny part you're going to like. He stated in an interview, I can play just about any keyboard, but I can't read or write a note. He's like me, I can play guitar, so I can't read notes. In the end credits, Carpenter bills himself as the Bowling Green Philharmonic Orchestra for performing the film's score. But he did have a bit of a help with a composer, Dan Wyman, a professor at the San Jose State University, that gave me a bit of assistance in putting it together. But he was a one-man opera. One guy pretty much wrote it, played it, recorded it, whatever. I'm not going to go through all the critics' reports here. Most of them were fair to really good. There's a couple of knuckleheads who couldn't appreciate it. I just don't like it. They don't like that sort of slasher movie. But the one that got me the most was the Roger. What's his name? Buggerlugs. Roger Ebert, who I find I don't like his reviews sometimes. He'll get a movie and I don't like it, or get a bad movie and he likes it. He graded this one quite high. He rated it very. He said, we aren't seeing the movie. We're having it happen to us. And like I told you, it's got to feel real. That's what he's pretty much saying. You look in the movie, you feel like it's happening to me as well. And you're being drawn into the movie. Maybe you don't like movies that are really scary, then don't see this one. He said selected as one of his top 10 films of 1978.
Cool.
And here's one thing here. Once dismissive critics became impressed by Carpenter's choice of camera angles and simple music, they're also surprised at the lack of blood and graphic violence. You don't need to have blood all over the place. You don't need to have the violence. Your person's imagination can fill in so many blanks.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't too much nudity. I mean, except for if you count one scene with the
girls and better boyfriend. You expect that. I mean, I'm a great believer in, if it fits in the movie, it's part of the story. By all means, put it in. If it's a gratuitous sex scene to do for a bit of padding for a movie, just leave it out. You know, you don't need it. It doesn't add to the story. But it's supposed to be having sex with a boyfriend. What are you going to do? I've got my evening dress on? No. I mean, it's obviously going to be naked in bed, you know. But you didn't see too much. You saw a couple of boobs pop out of bed. That was about it. You didn't see anything else.
Yeah. It's weird that
it worked for the movie.
It's weird when it got close to the 80s, it started pulling all the stops on. Not pulling all the stops. They quit the stops by continuing to show a bit of nudity.
Look, in the 70s you had Andy Warhol movies had sex running all over the place. And the naked people, males, females. And I don't want to knock Andy Warhol and the guys he worked these productions, but gee, they were crap. I mean, the sex was the main angle of the movies. And I'm sorry.
Interesting thing. A director who did Suspiria. What's his name?
Oh, what's his name again? Argento. That guy.
Dario Argento.
Yeah.
Yeah. He, on the other hand, he would often, with some of his movies I've seen, he would often do both sexes nudity, you know, not just women, but men too.
I know, but the point is...
And he's not a stippler to just one or the other.
What I said, if it's relevant to the movie, bung it in. If it's not relevant to the movie, leave it out. Do you need to see someone going to the toilet?
Nope.
No. Do you see it very often? No.
Nope.
Well, don't put it in. We know we all go to the toilet. We probably have... I go to the toilet more often than have sex nowadays, so you don't see me... if I did a film, would have me going to the toilet? Perhaps not. Okay?
Anyway, it's got... At least it got Ebert's good quote.
And so he's an enigmatic, that guy. So I don't know how he grades movies. Well, he did grade... He's dead now, but... he graded this one high. And I didn't think he liked horror on this sort of stuff.
Yeah, I've often seen reviewers. They would often say, "I'm reviewing this out against my goodwill, but to..."
And they bag it, they troll it to death. You know, and it's why you don't like it. So that doesn't mean it's bad. It's just not your style of music.
Yeah, they're being forced to review it against their will, so to speak.
Well, no, they're paid to do it for the magazine or the newspaper. Okay, so it's not against their will. You have to review this movie, and they do it. So I saw it. I don't like it. I'll bag it. No,
that's not.
We try not to bag movies in these reviews. Look, if we watch the worst movie around, and I won't mention the names. I can think of one right now. If we watch that, I would still try to find some redeeming qualities if it had any.
Yeah,
say, I don't like the movie. I think it's a load of rubbish, but I can see what the producer, director is trying to achieve, yada, 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 and I'll try to go there and look at the good bits. Even though I can't give it a great rating, I wouldn't trash it. I wouldn't have any scathing remarks about producers, directors, or actors like some of these paid reviewers do. It's not right. It's just not the right thing to do. You know, that's just me. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch like Pee Wee Herman. A good example. I do not like Pee Wee Herman in the movies here a couple of decades ago, But some people did. Now, that doesn't mean Pee Wee Herman movies are bad. It just means I just don't like them. But if I had to review it, I'd review the movie, not Pee Wee Herman. You see what I mean? So if it's a good movie aimed at kids or teenagers or whatever, I'll have to evaluate it for that market he's approaching. Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, do you want to rate this movie now? Because I don't have very much.
Well, I could go on and on. I will say, I'm not going to tell you about the availability. I'm pretty sure from what I've seen, it's available on Amazon. It's available on eBay. You can rent it. You can buy it. You can try it.
And be careful which one you choose, because there's many out there.
Yeah, good point. There's been an old movie. If you go online looking for it, remember,
1978. Remember the date, 1978.
Yeah, we know that part, but saying when this first came out, that was on VHS. So, don't pick up a VHS tape. Order it accidentally online. Make sure you pick up a DVD copy, unless you have a VHS machine, which is very hard to get nowadays. Just be careful which one you order. But, there's Halloween 1, 2, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You can get singles, you can get double packs, you can get Blu-ray, you can get...
you may even get accidentally Rob Zombie's one instead of the one you think this one.
This is the 1978 version.
I know, but both of them are still called Halloween, and the 2019 one is also called Halloween, just so you know. You don't want to get them confused.
Okay. 1978, it's got a year.
I know that.
We said at the beginning.
I know, but...
It's the original one of Jamie Lee Curtis.
I know, but just say you just put in the word the name of Halloween, and you don't, and you never put in the date, and you just get the wrong one.
Irrespective, irrespective of just stung again. No, it's available. So wherever you get your stuff, your local video shop's probably got a copy of it. A DVD shop, sorry, not video. Or you can stream it probably at different sites. I don't know. I don't do any streaming, but it's there. You want it, watch it. It's a good movie. If you haven't, actually, I had a friend who passed away a couple of years ago. He was never into watching franchise movies. He didn't watch Star Wars. Well, he missed watching Star Wars. He missed watching Halloween. He missed watching Friday the 13th. He missed all these good movies.
All these good
franchises.
franchises.
Because he didn't watch franchises until I got him into watching franchises. And he thought, oh, this was good. Yeah, so if you guys who don't watch franchises, get in there and have a look, because this is number one. If you like it, go through the 7 movies, 8 movies, whatever. They're pretty good.
Well, just be open to the fact that some of them may not lead to. They may not have a good continuation there.
Yeah, it's okay. So will standalone.
I'm just saying that by the third and the fourth movie, I mean not the season of which I was referring to. It's the fourth and the fifth movie that talks about in the sixth movie, obviously, they talk about how Michael Myers had a niece, and then by the time they got to the seventh movie, they kind of stopped that and changed it to a different story, making out that Jamie Lee Curtis's character decided to go into hiding and changed her name, and then
why not?
And then by that after the movie that happened, it made out that she went into an institute too, because she killed someone else who pretended to be Michael Myers.
Well, yes.
And she got eventually killed in the ward, and Michael returns to his home, and that set off a different chain of events where he starts killing other people.
An alternate reality? Why not? It works for me.
As I said before, throughout this Halloween franchise, there is like several different timelines for each of them, separate ones.
No timelines, but you got to look at the same thing too. They got alternate reality type things. They change the storyline a little bit.
Although throughout all the Halloweens, they continue calling them Halloween 4, Halloween 5, Halloween 6, Halloween 7. They don't really.
How about Michael Myers 1, Michael Myers 2? Would you be happy then?
Yeah, I guess the directors would have had a different name for the episodes, but the guys wanted to have it calling it Halloween. Return of Michael Myers.
The original name for this was the Babysitter Killers or something or other.
I don't think it has a good ring, obviously.
Yeah, it's something really weird. That's what was it? I had written down here somewhere. I can't see it. But it was the Babysitter Killer.
Yeah.
Or, yeah,
I guess it didn't have a good ring to it.
No, I didn't.
That's why they called it the Halloween. And that's where John
Well,
Carpenter...
it's going to be staged in Halloween
Yeah.
at times. Why don't we change that in Halloween?
Yeah.
Great idea.
And it was it was sort of the start of John Carpenter's anthology franchise, but that didn't go according to his plan. So, as I said before, originally he was going to do different stories for each movie, but it didn't form.
Well, it sort of got that way, but there's a bit of a continuation.
After doing two Michael Myers, explain what happened to him, like killing him off in the second.
Here it is.
Then they decided to move on to Season of the Witch, and the audience still wanted Michael Myers to come back.
We love Michael. And here it is. The original title they were going to use was The Babysitter Murders.
Sounds like an odd moving title.
Who came up with the idea originally, subsequently suggested seeing the movie on Halloween night and rename it Halloween instead. And John Carpenter agreed and developed the story using Halloween as a theme behind it. That would get things with the masks and everything else.
Yeah, it would make sense.
Cross-theming and everything else.
Yeah. And Michael's obsessive nature towards Halloween.
Yeah, and that he breaks out. It's he killed his sister who was a babysitter on Halloween. He's come back 15 years later on Halloween to take vengeance on other babysitters. That's all. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah,
good theme. But when you look at it, it all came together, didn't it? Yeah.
There's no explanation for why he keeps killing.
You don't want an explanation. Sometimes no explanation's a good explanation.
True.
I mean, okay, Freddy Krueger. We know about Freddy Krueger. He was a dirty old man who did something in something, and the locals killed him and set fire to him or something or other, and he came back as a ghost. Yeah. We know about Jason Voorhees. He got killed, drowned or something at Crystal Lake or whatever. Yeah, he had a bit of a backstory, but Michael Myers is the man who wasn't there.
Yeah. Also, guys, incidentally, I'm going to be probably looking at reviewing for our next Halloween related movie. I'm thinking of watching the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark that was released in 2019, long before the COVID. So I thought maybe we might do that one, considering that it takes place during Halloween too.
I have a question. Seeing it's coming out Christmas soon, in a couple of months' time, have you seen Black Christmas? I haven't seen it. Is that any good?
I heard of the original Black Christmas. It sounds really awesome, it's sort of sort of like the Urban Stranger babysitter story movie.
A stranger
stories.
comes to the door, sort of thing.
No, strangers where they just start calling a babysitter and saying creepy things like.
Yeah, we might do that save it for Christmas.
Yeah, I think I mentioned to you guys about how they did a remake of the Babysitter. I mean, the Black Christmas movie. You know, that other one I told you guys about that kind of stinks.
You have a way of words. This one stinks.
I've already explained it to you guys. Watching the trailer, it indicated too much information.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, you put all the movies, good bits into the trailer. There's nothing left. Yeah.
No. And it explained how there were so many killers running around loose in that one.
I know.
When they actually should have just skimmed on that and just focused on the kills, but not on the explanations.
Anyway, it's getting a bit long. This.
Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this one.
I had a good time. I like Halloween.
And I hope you guys may enjoy our next podcast when we start recording it.
Yes, we're going to we might stay in either a Halloween type movie theme or movies that are popular at Halloween time over this week and next week, because there's Halloween coming up, and we want to keep that sort of scare theme happening.
Yeah, nothing's more scary than actually reviewing a movie that's has a Halloween theme about it.
Happy and joy and stuff. So we've done things like carnivals and stuff. We did Hellfest, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
We did Hellfest. And that was like not quite Halloween, but it had a nice carnival, fun sort of thing turned sour. And this is like Halloween's nice fun thing turned sour. Yeah, so we like that sort of stuff, don't we?
Don't we?
Yeah. Trick or Treat, we've done that last year sometime.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. I think that we did that on near Halloween.
Yeah, last year. Yeah, that's that. I like that. Hey, why don't we do Dead Silence?
No. That's not Halloween based.
No, I didn't say that. They're not all Halloween based.
I mean, that's more of a James Wan type movie.
Okay.
Anyway, I want to
watch
review scary stories to
Okay.
tell in the dark because
Okay.
it was directed by the same director from Shapes in the Water movie. You know,
The Shape of the Water.
Yeah,
yeah. And The Shape of the Water. Did we review that one?
Yeah, we did last year.
That wasn't bad. That's a good movie. Interesting.
Yeah, so I want to review this one because it has some interesting stuff. Like some of the scary monsters in that one are actually
Oh.
the people who are very athletic. I mean, aerobic torsionists.
Oh, contortionist.
Yeah, that can move it and shape their bodies
Like
in
a pretzel.
a pretzel like motion for it.
Yeah.
That's why I want to look at those interesting characters who could portray that sort of thing because they look so
interesting.
cool on camera. And
Anyway, gotta go. It's getting very long now.
Okay, thanks
people
for
wanna go to bed.
So
Yeah.
thanks for listening to this latest podcast, everyone. This is Sarah Stephenson
Yeah. I'm Michael. Yeah.
saying we'll see you guys for our next podcast. Bye for
Bye,
now.
guys.